We are from Group 9, and today we will be presenting our analysis of the GISP scandal. Before we begin, here is a brief introduction about the organization involved.
GISP is known as Global Equine Service and Business Holding, tracing its origin to the banner All or Crime Sex founded by Ashari Muhammad. After the sex was outlawed in year 1994, its members continued their activity under GISP, maintaining a strong internal community with strict leadership. Today, GISP operates a broad network of business, welfare homes, educational programs, and community service across Malaysia and abroad. Understanding this background helps us better examine the case we are analyzing.
Claims were defamatory and that it was prepared to cooperate with authorities to resolve the matter. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussain said the victims, aged between 1 and 17, had been subjected to various forms of abuse, with some forced to perform sexual acts on other children.
During our global in September 2024, Malaysia authorities conduct raids on welfare homes managed by Global Equine Service and Business Holding (GISP). The operation uncovered over 625 victims, including infants as young as 2-month-olds who were subjected to severe physical, sexual, emotional, and institutional abuse. The investigation revealed a systematic and organized network of exploitation considered under the guise of religious discipline and welfare service, highlighting a major failure in child protection oversight. Children in this home were through terrible physical and sexual abuse. They were beaten, burned, and punished harshly. Some were victims of sexual assaults and forced sexual acts, which are serious crimes against their safety and right. They were also made to do forced labor under the excuse of religious discipline or community service. Kids need to work long time hours, often helping GISP business. This show they were exploited for money instead of being cared for. The problem was not just a few bad incidents, it was organized and systematic abuse. Leaders of GISP plan and run this exploitation like a business, making it part of a bigger criminal system. There was also a harm betrayal of children. Welfare homes are supposed to protect children, but instead they become a place of harm. GISP used religion and community truths to trick families into believing that children will safe, when in reality they will be in abuse. Finally, they will side of human trafficking, the forced work, strict control, and even moving children across border subject links to largest trafficking network. This makes the case even more serious, connecting it to global human rights violations.
Next is about theory application. Now I will evaluate the case using utilitarianism, which focuses on maximizing overall well-being and minimizing harm for society. In this case, the organization action caused serious long-term harm to children, such as emotional trauma, physical punishment, and being forced into unusual rituals. This harm clearly outweighs any claimed religious or moral benefit, like learning religious principles. The scandal also affected society. It damaged public trust in welfare institutions and forced the government to intervene, which took time and resources away from other community services, like helping vulnerable families or providing education support. Because the overall consequence caused more suffering than good, these actions do not meet the utilitarian goal of achieving the greatest good for the greatest number. So, from a utilitarian perspective, the organization behavior is ethically unacceptable, as it produces overwhelming harm with very little positive outcome. Next, I will examine the case through Kantian ethics, which emphasizes dignity, autonomy, and treating individuals as ends but not means. In this case, the organization put obedience and authority above children's autonomy and inherent worth, showing clear disregard for moral duty. For example, children were punished for small mistakes, confined for long periods, and forced to take part in strict rituals to maintain control of the group. This treatment also violates Kant's universality principles, because such practices could never be morally justified if applied to all children in society. By denying the children respect, freedom, and moral agency, the organization clearly failed to uphold its moral duty. Therefore, from a Kantian perspective, the actions are categorically immoral, as the children were used as means to achieve organizational goals rather than valued as individuals.
This matrix simplifies the GISP scandal into three groups: the perpetrators, the enablers, and the response. At the first is the core conflict. The GISP leadership were the main aggressor, misusing religion to justify physical and financial abuse. While the children were the direct victims, they are suffering with trauma and being forced to help raise in donation. Then we look at why it has continued. Parents act as accessory, placing the children at risk or awaiting custody. Also, community leaders stay silent, allowing abuse to continue without challenge. Finally, we see the response. The public and media expose the issue and create pressure. It has pushed the government to take action, raise rescues, and legal enforcement. In short, GISP commit the crime, but parental neglect and community silence allow it to grow until the public pressure forced government intervention. This slide explains the layer of responsibility in the GISP case, a direct criminal act on one side and systemic failure on the others. The first part is GISP criminal liability. GISP leaders and caretakers hold the highest responsibility. Their actions were not accidents, they were the deliberate crimes. They used the regional authority to physically, sexually, and emotionally harm the minors, which creating a structured system of abuse. The second part is systemic and social failures, but responsibility did not end there. This scandal showed a deeper failures, which is government oversight was weak and slow to act. The community silence allowed the abuse to continue. And also some parents either ignore warning signs or willingly place their children in an unsafe condition. Finally, the GISP tragedy happened because of three levels collapsed at once: institutional leaderships, government oversight, and social responsibility.
Hi everyone, I'm Lim Sheng Wei. Today, we are going to discuss and address the global Ikhwan child abuse scandal so that we need the solutions effective that will protect children in the long run. First, government regulations must be strengthened. Welfare homes cannot operate in the shadows and it needs to show transparency. We also need independent auditors, social workers, and child safety experts to conduct regular and surprise inspections. These visits able to ensure that childcare standards, safety procedures, staffing rules, and disciplinary practices are actually being followed. The punishment must be serious enough to deter future abuse if realized that they are violated. Next, Malaysia needs a centralized monitoring system for all private, religious, or community-based welfare homes. This system should track every home status, staff qualifications, training records, and most importantly is to update information about every child under their care. It should also prevent irresponsible organizations from simply closing down and reopening under a new name. Beyond aspect of monitoring, legal safeguards must be strengthened. Reporting abuse must become easier, more transparent, and more effective. Perpetrators should face harsher penalties reflecting the severity of harming a child. If the home is found to be unsafe, children must be immediately transferred to a licensed, professionally supervised care center to not left vulnerable or displaced. In short, protecting children requires stronger laws, better monitoring, real accountability, and safer replacement homes. Abuse happens in silence, so every person working with children should undergo mandatory background checks and psychological screening. Anyone who holds a position of authority in a child's life must be proven safe, responsibility, and mentally fit. So thank you.
For conclusion, the global Ikhwan case shows a major ethical breakdown in child protection. The welfare homes misuse religious authority, operated with secrecy, and lack proper monitoring. This allowed long-term abuse and exploitation of vulnerable children. From an ethical viewpoint, the actions are unjustifiable because they violate the human dignity, moral duty, and the trust society places in institutions caring for minors. The case highlights the urgent need for stronger governance, transparent supervision, and accountability to ensure children are protected both legally and morally. There are several key ethical lessons. First, children must always be treated with dignity and never as tools for organizational goals. Second, the duty of care is non-negotiable. Caregivers and leaders must provide safety, emotional support, and proper protection. Third, unchecked power is dangerous. The misuse of religious authority shows why transparency and accountability are essential. 4. The case reflects a breakdown of the social contract where institutions that should protect children instead cause harm. Finally, it shows the importance of strong governance and continuous monitoring to prevent the future abuse.